Hey folks, welcome back to Biztalk. Thank you for joining us this week. We've got an amazing show lined up for us. My name is Rick Gutierrez. I am your host and your business advocate, and I love having these conversations because I get to interview business professionals that have been in business for a very long time, and they're here to bring us their expertise. We're going to ask them some questions, they're going to answer these questions, and we're going to have a great conversation with each and every single one of our guests because we are here for you so that we can bring this knowledge to you so that you can get better in your business and continue to thrive. So with that being said, I have an amazing guest here with us today, Clara Capano. Welcome back, or welcome to the show for the very first time, at least with me. Thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure. You know, Rick, there's two things that I love. I love business and I love to talk. So we're going to have an amazing conversation.
We're going to have an amazing conversation because that's what it's all about. We are here to help people grow their business, and we do that by bringing this type of information. And so we always have a great time. So we've got an amazing topic that we're going to be covering today, and that's all within your wheelhouse. And I think if there's an expert out there in terms of this topic, that is you, Clara. So let's get into everything that has to do with leadership, coaching, and then cultivating a healthy work environment, a healthy work culture, right? So because it is crucial for all of these business professionals and their employees to have a great experience while they all work together. So what do you say we get into that topic?
I say, let's do it.
All right, so per some research, something tells me that you have been in business for a very long time and this is your wheelhouse. So tell us about some of the things that you have seen out there where culture's not that great, but with your experience, you're able to go in there and help business professionals create a healthy work culture for their employees so that they can thrive. And then tell us a little bit about those processes, systems that you put in place to help those business owners.
Beautiful. Thanks again for having me, Rick. This is going to be just a really special conversation. You know, organizational health is really key. And a lot of people throw around the term organizational or corporate wellness, and that is very different than a healthy organization. A healthy organization is one that builds trust, empowerment, engagement, and high levels of productivity. And so that's really where I work with the leaders that I come into contact with. And, you know, when we talk about company culture, our culture is really our greatest asset. Because when we have a strong and a healthy culture, we are able to recruit the right people to our company. We're able to retain the right people and have less turnover. We have higher levels of quality communication, better decision making, and then also a really high level of trust among the employees. So we have to do everything possible. And regardless of the organizational size, it could be a company of one, or it could be a company of 1,001. Company culture is at the heart of everything we do. So as a leader, being able to really define what your culture needs to look like, and then working each and every day to foster that culture, it's something that a leader really has to embrace and has to do.
I think that is, a great way, a great view, a great way to look at it because it is, it starts with leadership, right? You have to get, everyone at the top to start behaving and doing the things that you want your fellow employees to follow, right? And one of the things that most people forget that even though you are in leadership, the entity is the entity. So even though you're in leadership, those in leadership are employees of the company as well, right? So they need to follow and lead by example, not lead by the side or not lead from behind, but lead, from the front and helping folks get better and better. So is there a particular client that you've worked with in the past here recently that you can share some details on how your strategies, your abilities to coach, those in leadership, create those systems and those processes? And you don't have to go into detail until the entire company, but just give us an example of how your processes have worked.
Absolutely. So I actually just got back from a 3-day leadership course that I was facilitating. And I did this with a real estate company. And I've been working with this company for a long time. And one of the things that we talked about is the culture. And I was really working with them to take their vision and really funnel it down to make sure that the vision and the culture are in alignment. One of the things that we talk about when it comes to hiring and retaining is the concept of the fruit bowl. And if you think about, if you have a bowl of fruit, if there's one bad fruit in there, it's going to spoil all of them so much sooner. So using this analogy and using the culture and the vision as sort of a compass to guide them when they are hiring and retaining their people to make sure they have it. And when we went through those and we looked at the elements and we looked at the people that were already in their culture, by being able to assess who their ideal agents are, who their ideal fruit in the fruit bowl would be, it thus you could see the light bulbs going off, and now they're going to really have a great touchstone. So when they're sitting down with people and deciding how are we going to cultivate a higher level of a team, they know exactly how to use their measurement by knowing and how they are defining their new culture. So that's definitely one of the things is you've got to get clear again on defining what you want your culture to look like. And then I will tell you, one of the things that it's really hard to do as a leader is to have the courage and the strength to turn people away who are not going to be part of the overall growth and strength of the culture. Because we have to remember that an organization is only as strong as its weakest link. So if we let the wrong people in, or if we let the wrong people stay there, it's going to diminish the standards of excellence that we have in place. So it really takes a strong and a courageous leader to not only identify, but to hold true to those standards.
That is a great, I'm glad that you touched that point, and specifically in the real estate, world, where even though these real estate agents are independent contractors for the most part, right? Creating a one-team culture is, crucial to, I think, any business, especially when you have 10, 50 or more employees. Here's the reason why. It's because when you do have a bad apple out there, sometimes, the comments will be back saying, that's not my department, or that's not my specialty, I don't do that. But creating a one-team culture environment to where one of your agents could potentially be going on vacation and they have an open house scheduled. Maybe another agent can come in and, host that open house for the agent that's on vacation, or an emergency can happen. And so it is crucial to have a one-team culture, in my opinion. I recently spoke to a CEO of a restoration company where they actually have in their break room a big old poster with the big old one that says one team, because everybody helps everybody contributes, and it starts from the very top, like we had talked about before.
It really does. And yes, everybody working together for the same common goal. And when you really can define not only the vision, but define what the culture needs to look like, people want to be a part of something that is special. And so knowing that they have a role in the level of excellence, it's something that's really big and people want to be a part of.
Absolutely. And I've seen so many people that see that happening within a firm where the firm is completely clicking at all levels, and they become attractive, right? The firm itself becomes attractive because they are producing, they are helping one another, they are collaborating, and so that is magnetic, in my opinion. And others will want to come in and want to be a part of that. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that, right?
Exactly. And your culture becomes your best recruiting tool.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So it's when you're doing such a great job as a leader in creating that culture that your employees, your fellow real estate agents are going out and speaking great things about your firm. That means you're on the right track, going in the right direction. So it's an amazing way to look at it, and I appreciate you sharing that. But before we end the segment, Clara, I want to give you an opportunity to tell our viewers exactly everything that your company does, what you focus on, and more specifically, how can we get in touch with you?
Oh, well, thank you so much. So again, my role as a speaker and corporate facilitator is to work with companies, regardless of size, to help them, again, gain the clarity they need to run a healthy organization. So I work with them on creating and getting clarity of their vision, clarity of what clear communication would look like, Again, clarity on what their culture needs to go through. And then again, clarity on what everybody's role is and how they all need to invest their time. So I do keynote talks, I do full and half day workshops, I do virtual events. I am just there again to help the leadership of the organization gain all the clarity they need to build long-term sustainable success and to have a little fun and maintain work-life harmony along with it. So I am, again, my website is just claracapano.com. So that's the easiest way to find me. And then I would say on the social platforms, I am most prevalent on LinkedIn, and they can just find me under Clara Capano.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for providing that information. We certainly do appreciate you stopping by and educating us a little bit on the importance of having a great team culture. So I look forward to having many more conversations with you, Clara, and for many weeks to come. So thank you again. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on our next episode. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay right there. Hey folks, welcome back to Biztalk. My name is Rick Gutierrez and I'm your host and your business advocate. We're always having great conversations with business owners, business professionals who bring tons of knowledge to not only me, but to you at home. So take down some notes and let's get to learning. We've got a great guest that's going to be with us today and showcasing tons of knowledge from his industry. Mr. Ferris, welcome back to the show.
Rick, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's always a great time having you on the show. We get to learn a lot. You've been in business for a very long time, so we just kind of pick your brain a little bit so that we can all learn. What do you say?
Looking forward to it.
All right. So let's talk a little bit. I've got a topic for you because I think this is something that's really important that most kind of oversee, but definitely we need to shed some light on it just to make sure that, we cover it and we say we talked about it, but potentially even talk a little bit more about it in the future because I think it's a great topic. And the topic is harmonious resolutions in business and mentoring. So I think this is something that
I love it.
This is something that it's right up your alley. I think this is something your cup of tea, and we're going to have a great conversation in this. So your training in Aikido emphasizes finding harmonious resolutions to conflict. How do these principles translate into your approach to business strategy and conflict resolution within startups specifically?
Sure. So Aikido is I don't speak Japanese, but my understanding is the way of harmonizing energy. So right. In Aikido, you don't start an attack, you actually absorb, you rechannel the energy of the attacker. Mm-hmm. As one of our teachers says, you kind of rechannel the energy and introduce them to the mat. So I think one of the principles is, whether it's with colleagues, with clients, with business partners, even at home, there's conflict. We come from different backgrounds. We mean different things. We say different things. Sometimes we're angry. Sometimes we're anxious. Sometimes we don't understand. We don't have the full picture. So I think one of the principles is sort of understanding the opponent's mind in a way, and you can tell by the way they move, the way they look at you, the way all of that. You can with practice you can build that skill. I think in business, when someone is angry, like let's say a customer, an unhappy customer, so when you get on the phone or you get an email, like I think trying to understand where they're coming from, what is the issue, right? You could be at fault as a vendor, as a business owner. They could be totally off, but initially, I think taking the time to understand where they're coming from, is it maybe the product did not work as provided? Maybe you were late in delivery. Maybe you overcharged them. So before we jump to conclusions and take it sort of get that ego in us to lead this moment, kind of sit back. Try to understand, absorb that energy that's coming your way, and understand where people are coming from before you act. Now, I think late Stephen Covey said in his amazing book, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said, we don't control what happens to us, but we control our reaction. We have agency. So I think understanding where people are coming from and giving people the benefit of the doubt before you jump to conclusion, before you jump to to action, I think is really, really important.
Absolutely. I think, one of the things that someone told me a while back was that I was, how do they phrase it? I was an energy recycling solution specialist. And it's all because we can take all the energy. I mean, we've been in business for a long time, and there's going to be, many amazing clients who are completely happy, and there's just going to be a handful that are not. And so we need to see it from their perspective, put ourselves in their shoes, and have the experience that they're having, because we have been there too, right? So we've experienced not so good things from customer service standpoint, and we want to be heard. And so because we've been there, done that, when our clients give us that type of energy, we know how to funnel it, we know how to translate, and we know how to give back, the right type of energy to make them feel, absolutely not only feel heard, but understood. And,
Exactly.
So thank you for sharing that. That's pretty amazing that you mentioned that, because that hit home, like you have no idea. Your role as a mentor, I've been told, and from what I can see, you're a mentor to many. How do you balance providing, a firm guidance with encouraging founders to their unique path and solutions to challenges that they face?
Yeah, sure. I think, well, for those of us in relationships, I've been married, very fortunate, been married for 37 years. And you learn the hard way when you're with someone for a long time. It's not what we say, I think it's how we say it. So you can be very firm, but this, if this comes with love, with sincerity, with compassion, it makes all the difference. So even when I'm training in Aikido and I teach youth classes, I'm an assistant instructor, I always, there's a lot of throwing, there's a lot of, wrist locks, and, it's going to be painful. So I always say, you can work hard, you can apply a technique on someone in a sort of, with a strong impact, but from deep inside, it should be done with love, with compassion. This other person is giving you their body to throw them around. This is in martial arts, right? So the same thing in the relationships and in business, you have people around you, your coworkers, or maybe some people you just hired. If you're a business owner, they're looking for guidance, they're looking for support. They will make mistakes. In most cases, people are not intentionally making these mistakes. So I think what you have when you speak with the founders and even with maybe your junior colleagues, I think it should come from a place of love and care. That's really important, because that will be in the tone, that will be in the facial expression, that will be in the way you write your email. So whatever you want to say, I think the way we go about saying this, the way we about providing advice or sharing advice, I think is important. And then you remind people of the time-tested principles, like gravity. You can't fight gravity. Same thing. If you're a founder and you want to double your revenue in the second half of 2024, you gotta be working hard. You cannot be working 30 hours a week and expect to double your revenue and grow your business. It's just this is just work hard is part of the work ethics you want to have. The same thing in terms of learning from mentors and learning from advisors, for example. So you don't have to learn everything on your own. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be resilient and have the grit. You want to go out and get the job done. But at the same time, there's no point of making the same mistakes that others have made. So you remind people of the principles, and you show them, maybe you share your own experience and what you went through. And then I think you share it in a caring and a compassionate way. I think that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. I think it's the way that you phrased it is basically, it's all about being of service to other. And when I tell folks, when you focus on doing the right thing for the right reasons, the right way, you're always going to have a great outcome. It's when we deviate from those three principles, I think that's when we start seeing a little bit of gray, and then it starts getting a little challenging and whatnot. So I appreciate you sharing that. So let's talk a little bit about maybe a story where the principles of Aikido helped you and one of your mentees navigate a particular challenging business, situation. And
a lot of times there's this friction between sales and delivery, because sales, a partner, I saw this actually almost real time. this one partner out there selling and coming back to the office and super excited that they've worked so hard to close this deal. So to them, their job is finished. They close the deal, right? Now the other partner, their job starts just right now because now they have to deliver. So they look
Right.
at the contract and you see the time commitment, the project scope is huge, the time to deliver is unreasonable, and then the margin is very low on this project. So from the delivery perspective and from a back office perspective, this is like the worst thing that could have happened to the company. It's a huge scope with a condensed time frame with little money to make. Where the other guy, the other partner who's out there selling is super happy that he closed a deal. So I mean, sometimes if this happens again and again and again, these partnerships could fall apart. So for partners, for business partners, and again, if you don't have a business partner, I think you apply the same thing with maybe your senior employees or maybe your advisors or maybe with your clients, is make sure that the expectations are understood, making sure, like if my partner's plate is full and I'm putting another project on their plate, they're not going to be happy because they can't deliver. They really want to deliver. They want to take care of the client. So in this case, I think in terms of harmony, in terms of expectations, understanding what on the other person's plate and what their priorities are and aligning on that, I think will help founders and business owners save a lot of that headache and all those heated discussions that could be happening. And that could actually lead to really serious not just distraction and from growing the business, but also the relationship and the trust and that sort of unity and vision and delivery that founders need to have to grow their business.
Right. So one of my other models that I sometimes challenge a little bit, and people sometimes don't like me because I ask this particular question. I ask, are you open to having an open, honest, and transparent conversation? That's the only way that I feel that we can have a great conversation and know how to move forward and build a solution to where we can progress and move on, right?
100%. I say only good things come out of awkward conversations. Because if you keep delaying this conversation, whether it's an issue with an employee or the partner, or even at home, if you don't address it, head on, again, be nice, be sincere, choose your words carefully when it's a heated discussion. But if you don't confront it, if you don't deal with it, then it's just everybody's going to be stewing, steaming, and then it's just going to explode one day when you least expect it.
Absolutely. Well, Ferris, I know this is a conversation that we can take on forever because there's just so many different things that we can go on here. But I want to thank you for being on the show. This is the end of our segment, but I look forward to having you in future shows. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the great content you produce as well.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we've come to the close of this segment. Stay right there. We'll be right back with another subject matter expert. Hey folks, welcome back to Biztalk. In case you are just now tuning in, my name is Rick Gutierrez. I am your host and your business advocate. I love business so much. I love to see businesses grow and do many great things for all of our cities. When all of our cities do great things, that means our business owners, business professionals are also doing great things. But we wouldn't be able to do it without communication, without some wireless communication. So up next, I've got my amazing good friend, Mr. Jim Bradfield with NAS Wireless, who is going to be talking to us about a little bit of history of his family and how his family has been in communication for many, many decades. And so, Jim, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a great conversation, and I'm a history buff, and I love to learn a little bit about everything. And so, what impressed me the most was the year 1897, which is when your family started in this industry. And that is remarkable, impressive, and hats off to you and your family for, the longevity and the generations that just keep up with the same, industry, same business. So I've got to ask, what was the earliest functional wireless communication that your family has ever developed?
Well, that's a really good question. We developed the William Walter Bradfield, who was my long ago ancestor, developed the radio communication for Marconi that was put onto the Titanic in 1911 and launched there, and they developed all of the ship-to-shore communications for a lot of the worldwide shipping lines, and so everything was launched there at Hartland and Wolff's in Belfast, Northern Ireland. So they put, if you can imagine, all the different locations out there communicating ship-to-shore and having the Marconi radio put in. That's where Marconi just really split and really did a heck of a huge job. And then all the marinas started going that way. It wasn't just the big, the big, giant marinas. It was the big ones and the small ones, and the guys who had private boats and yachts and things like that started developing. The big applications were for private marinas for all over the East Coast and things like that. So that's kind of where everything went from there.
That's pretty impressive. So if I'm reading this correctly, so your family you have ancestors that actually put the systems in place for the radio systems for the Titanic back in 1911.
Right.
That is phenomenal, and I'm like jumping for joy right now because, like I said, I'm a big history buff. I like to learn a little bit about everything. And the Titanic is a shipwreck that has always intrigued me. More importantly, the technology that was available back then, which was almost non-existent, I guess I want to say. But there was communications, and you are here, and your family was part of that. So let's talk a little bit more about that. I mean, I know that you guys. The Titanic was launched, from the Harland and Wolff's yard. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So essentially, what they did was they put together the worldwide shipping, put the ships together, and they actually built them at the Harland and Wolff yard, and it was in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And what they did was they brought in all the parts and pieces and everything like that, and this was just a giant shipyard, basically. With men and wood, they had just all kinds of little, logs and things like that. They did a log roll into the water, essentially. But what they did was they built this, the Marconi radio group with William Bradfield. They put together a specialty kind of a radio that would communicate not only short distance, but long distance. This was a very long distance. We're talking about, all the way across the ocean, SOS kind of things that they have nowadays and things like that, short wave, long wave, and all of those things. And it didn't help them a heck of a lot. I mean, it did eventually alert somebody that they were hit by an iceberg and they sank. Too bad they didn't know anything more about that before, but yeah, that's how it was built. And again, they decided to put it in for all of the UK harbors, and that's how Marconi really went to town, man. They really built everything up throughout Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland was actually a very technical place, back in the day. You wouldn't think about it now that way, but that's what they really were known for. And then it went all throughout the UK. So that's a big deal. And then our company developed further later into the 90s when I was around. We developed all of these hotspots. So we developed hotspots for the East Coast. That would be things like New York Harbor, other things in Connecticut and things like that on the water, of course, in the harbors. And then Oakland, Alameda was, I think, our first big harbor in California. And we did the city of Berkeley. We also did, I think, pretty much 30 or 40 different Hawaiian marinas. Now, these were private marinas as well as for the giant yachts and the giant sailing ships that were out there. So like at the Trade Center that you see in Oahu and, in Lahaina and Alawai and Kilauea Bay and, all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of where we did. Now, we had a really big breakthrough once we did some work we were known for this work for doing hotspots and development there, but we had a really big breakthrough in the San Diego Yacht Harbor, they called us and they said they wanted something special. So, that's kind of where everything started to take off.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you going into that, because I was going to ask you about, the innovations that your company has brought forward, particularly in the marina, since we're staying with ships and marinas. But I appreciate you elaborating a little bit more on that, because the 90s was kind of crucial, wasn't it? Where technology was taking a really forward step in how things were being done.
It was, and typically what was happening is there were a lot of accidents. So in ship racing, or yacht harbor racing and things like that. So the America's Cup called us, as did the San Diego Yacht Harbor, and they said, hey, we're going to have some training sessions and some trial sessions over here in the yacht harbor. Can you guys come over and help us communicate like you did with all these other locations? But we want to go even a little bit further. We want to go back into the racing ship itself. So can you put them on the yachts? Well, that seemed like a really simple thing. Pop something on a yacht and there you go. But that's not really how it worked. It took us about 5 years working with the one of the biggest, a couple of the biggest technology companies on earth, Cisco and a few others, to actually get this to work. And what we finally did was for the America's Cup racing, what we did was we put them in the towers. So if you look at a yacht harbor, it's like an airport, right? They have a conning tower kind of a thing, where they're communicating with the boats out there.
Right.
And so we put them in the towers, and then we put them on the boats. And so what typically happened then was that you had a you had a yacht that was racing, and they could check the vitals on the material and on the equipment and all that kind of thing. And they eventually figured out how to check the vitals on the captains and the guys who were running the boat. So, it was really kind of a big deal.
Right. Yeah, no, it's pretty significant what you have been able to do, you and your company have been able to do for all of our communications in one way, shape, or form. In previous shows, we talked about the communication that you guys have put through in healthcare systems as well. And so, we may not see your work, right in front of us, but behind the scenes, your work and your company's work is actually helping everyone around the world. So we appreciate what you do. And then, needless to say, the significance that your family has had throughout the years in developing the future of technology and communication. It's pretty phenomenal. So we appreciate everything that you do. A little earlier, Jim, you mentioned about the San Diego Yacht Harbor and the breakthrough development that you guys had there in wireless communication. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, yeah, that was for the ship to shore when we did the racing. But then what we did was we helped them develop and plan out how marinas were going to work. See, part of the problem with marinas is that, people are a little bit, picky when they go to a marina. They really want to actually work on a boat. If you have $1 million yacht, you're going to want to work on that thing, right? So you want to have really good wireless. And what typically happened was that the wireless was very spotty. It was somewhere off in the universe somewhere, and we didn't really have it on our telephone so much. So they decided to figure out how to develop point-to-point things on buoys. And with solar panels, we hung up wireless out in the middle of the yacht harbor so that anybody that would come in, there's 11,500, marinas, and these guys are, making $400,000, $500,000 a year only, on the average. Now, some of them are making a heck of a lot more money, and some of them barely get by, right? So they needed something to attract more clientele, and that's streaming video and all of the things you see now. Like, there were things back then that would do the same kind of things as our present Netflix and Hulu and all those kind of things. So you wanted to develop something to give that customer something really, really good to use for their wireless network, so they could work and play at the same time. And then The other things that are happening is, wireless is not just in a hospital or a warehouse or whatever, but like I said, it's in, all over the yachts and all over the boats and all over the harbors and all of those things. Well, you've got to be really careful with the safety and security of that thing. You have to be looking at video surveillance and all of those kind of things. You even have to look at PCI compliance, which is the credit card payment compliance, because that's illegal if you lose their data and things like that. So, and there's all kinds of other really, just about anything you can apply wireless to. Marinas is a perfect example. It's a really simple one to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate everything that you bring to the table, all of your knowledge. You're an expert in wireless communications. We appreciate everything that you do. And I could talk to you forever, Jim, because these conversations can just go on and on. But we've come to the end of this segment here, and just want to thank you for being on the show once again. I know you're going to be on future shows, and we'll continue those conversations then.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Jim. And all right, folks, we are going to go into a quick commercial break. We will be right back with additional guests. Thank you for staying in. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to Biztalk. My name is Rick Gutierrez. I am your host and your business advocate. Thank you so much for staying with us. We've got another amazing segment with a great entrepreneur that's going to be showcasing their expertise and showcasing everything that has to do with their facility in terms of technology. So Mr. Mark Lamplugh, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Rick.
Yeah, absolutely. We always have a great conversation. I know that over at in your company, you guys are doing a lot of amazing things, and so we want to thank you for all of the great work that you guys are doing. So it's always, as I mentioned, a great conversation because we get to talk about the technology that you guys are putting together and putting in place in health services, which is ultimately goes to help all of your staff and it goes to help all of your patients and all those great things. So let's talk a little bit about that. What do you say?
Sounds good.
All right. So here recently, you guys have implemented several pieces of technology that are, just helping everyone all the way around in terms of when it comes to helping your staff and helping your patients. So can you talk a little bit about what technology you guys have put in place?
Sure. So just in the few months that I took over and have been running the company, we use technology in patient care and also in on how we answer those calls and things like that when patients are calling into the facility, and also online when patients are visiting the website. And one of those technologies is a system called Wendy. It's an AI-assisted chatbot that engages with website visitors and starts the interaction with them, and it basically starts the conversation. It will talk about their verifying the insurance benefits that they have before even getting on the phone with us. And then once they complete those forms online, it gets sent into admissions. Admissions already has all the information that they need to start the admissions process. If that client meets our level of care and our needs, if it's an insurance that we can work with here, and if not, they're already getting the referring providers that we may be able to work with that works well or better with the situation that patient is experiencing.
That's fantastic. So it's all about making it as seamless as possible for not only your staff, but your patients as well. And then I think if I heard you correctly, the name of the system, the software that you guys are using is called Wendy?
Yes, yeah, and it's specific to healthcare. It's pretty much one of the leading AI chatbots that have come out in the healthcare space.
That is fantastic, and I love that it has a name because it just makes it easy to recognize, right? And to be able to
Yeah.
go back to it and either do some updates or creating some really great things, and almost referring to it as an actual individual because it will do a lot of automation processes for everyone, right? Which I imagine it's. Have you guys tapped into every single piece of tool that Wendy has, or are you guys just now, getting into getting your feet wet in that system?
Yeah, we're about a month in, and it's already increased our intakes that we receive. One of the reasons being a lot of visitors will come to the website and they'll leave without calling. Some people just don't want to pick the phone up. Well, the Wendy engages with that, person while they're, looking at the website and like starts, a conversation, which then in turn takes them through the process uh, to where they're kind of committed, and then we can reach out to where, before we had that, they would just go off the website, and we would probably lose them.
Right. Yeah, it's all about having those analytics, right? That can help you with your, the folks that visit the website and all those great things. Do you feel that this software here is here to stay for your company, or you guys are just still testing it out?
No, no, it's here to stay for us. Yeah,
Okay.
we're actually working on it pretty much daily. All of our admissions teams have access to we're getting several contacts a day from it. And we're reaching out to patients if they don't, if, they're not good for our program based on their insurance or whether they have like a Medicare or Medicaid, we'll help find them programs that they can go to in the area. It's been really helpful, so we're gonna stick with it, and you can build it out more for responses, to engage even further as needed.
Yeah. I was going to say, as far as you guys just being in it, a month in, there's still a lot to uncover, right? I'm sure there's still a lot of tools and resources that it has, capabilities that it has in order for you guys to even potentially start providing additional services when the time comes, right? So it's because nowadays it's all about having systems and processes in place that can help you alleviate some of the tasks that we normally do, right? So it takes up time, and these softwares are doing that. And so I use one myself, and is doing a lot of the work for us rather than us having to, do the old manual way. So, Mark, over at your company, do you guys see that there is a need for this type of software in only your industry, or could this potentially be open, or is it open to other health services?
Well, this particular one that we're talking about, Wendy, I believe it's specific to healthcare, but not just behavioral mental health. A lot of doctors' offices use it. Um, Hospitals, any type of dentists, any type of healthcare where they can schedule appointments. That's another thing that it does that we're not utilizing because we have to schedule intakes in person, but physicians' offices, it can also help with online scheduling. So the patient can actually schedule the appointment without ever getting on the phone. Um, so yeah, it's Wendy in particular is for healthcare, but I mean there are other AI assisted chatbots uh, that are available in other industries.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like our viewers to and our listeners to know a little bit more about your company, South Jersey. So tell us more about what you guys are actually focused on so that our viewers get a little bit more understanding.
Yeah, so South Jersey Treatment Management Company is a provider of mental and behavioral health services here in South Jersey. We have a mental health uh, outpatient treatment program called Renewed Light in West Effort. We have a substance use disorder treatment program in Mullica Hill, New Jersey. We're in the process of opening a counseling center in Marlton and in-network substance use disorder and mental health program in Marlton as well.
That's fantastic. And you guys have just one location or various locations?
We have two now. We'll have three probably by September 1st. We're opening.
Okay.
Currently, we're in the process of that opening.
Okay. And they're in Jersey or throughout the country?
Yes, all in South Jersey. Uh, our plan is to stay in South Jersey with these 3 locations, and then the 4th location, we're looking in Maryland.
Okay, a little expansion there, so that's
Mm.
fantastic. And just like there is technology in place for, healthcare services, there's got to be technologies in place for when you guys are expanding, right? So what does that look like for South Jersey Treatment Management Company? Is it something that you guys are just opening up the second and third location and potentially a fourth, but what processes are in place to open those other locations?
Well, we kind of look at the insurance provider since we're at a network facility. We look at the states, one that has higher incidences of mental health and addiction issues, so that we can meet needs in those areas, and also look at the type of payers are in the state and things like that.
Yeah, and do you feel that with the work that you guys are doing, is there enough services out there like what you guys are doing, or could there always be more?
I'm pretty sure there probably can be more. There's I think an unmet need for especially with mental health and the addiction issues with the fentanyl and things like that. I think there always can be more, and I think more technological specific programs where they're like, just for instance, for us, we just launched biofeedback treatment. That's the machine behind me.
Hmm.
This week, we had our training in the bed installs, and we're in the process of rolling out TMS therapy.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's obviously something that's going to be helping you guys continue to do the great work that you guys are doing and helping a lot of people. Mental health is a serious thing. It's here and it has been here, and so the more work that you guys are doing, the more that you guys are helping those in need. And so we definitely do appreciate you and your company for not only doing what you do, but the expansion so that you can have more reach, right? Hopefully other companies are also seeing the great work that you guys are doing and expanding to be able to reach even more people, because I think it's something that we definitely do need a little bit more, if not a lot more, services like your company. So
Yeah.
Mark, where can we get in touch with you, your facility, so that our viewers, our listeners can browse for some more information or potentially get a hold of you?
You can visit our website at www.sjtmc.com. And if you want to get a hold of me personally, you can visit my website at www.marklamplu.com.
Awesome. All right, Mark, thank you so much for being on the show. We definitely do appreciate you. Your knowledge in this space is definitely something that we all need, and everyone listening as well. So thank you for stopping by. I look forward to having you on future shows. But yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. All right, folks, we are come to the conclusion of this episode of Biztalk. It is great having these conversations with these business professionals because this is how we learn. We thank you for joining us this week. We hope that you join us next week for another episode. Until then, take care of each other.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.